Cesar Vargas is an illegal immigrant, and despite that, a licensed attorney in the state of New York, and he joins us tonight. Cesar, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Tucker.
So every time we've had a conversation about DACA or the Dreamers, it comes up, the person you're talking to always says, look, a lot of these people are worthy, they're decent, they're Americans, essentially. And by the way, I agree with all that. I think there are a lot of really decent people caught up in this, and I feel sorry for them. But I also think there's a principle here that we shouldn't ignore. And so I'm wondering, if we give amnesty to the people President Obama gave amnesty to, who were brought here by their parents, when does that stop? Or do we owe citizenship to anyone under 18 who makes it into this country illegally? Like, what are the parameters on this?
Well, no one's giving amnesty to anyone. Amnesty just means that you are forgiving someone's, pretty much, whether it's a crime or whether it's an offense. What the president did to our pilot, that's amnesty. But what we're hearing is on immigration is giving us a path to legal status, earning our opportunity to be in this country. That is a whole different aspect than amnesty. We're not asking any freebies. We're not asking any free time. We're not asking just give me a citizenship and give me a free car. No, we're asking for us to say, hey, give me an opportunity to prove that I'm contributing to the country. Let me serve the country, the military, and give me the chance to become a U.S. citizen.
Okay, but again, I'm not contesting that a lot of these people are good people and probably are serving the country in one way or another. But it is amnesty and it is special treatment. If I'm coming here from any other country in the world, I have to go through a process, and I can't be here while I go through that process. I wait in line at some embassy or consulate in a foreign country, sometimes for years. And these people aren't having to do that. They're getting special treatment. So let's not pretend. Let's not lie about it. This is amnesty. Because if it wasn't amnesty, you'd say, leave the country and reapply like everybody else.
But you're pointing out to something so significant, which is, that's right, we shouldn't have people waiting 20, 30 years to come here. We shouldn't have a process where people are risking their lives through the desert, through the seas, risking their lives, where people are losing their homes, their everything, just to come here. We should have an opportunity to reform our outdated immigration system, so we don't have to have that, right?
Wait, why? I mean, it's our country, and we have a right to determine who comes here, right? You're not saying it's the fault of the United States that people are dying trying to get here, are you?
Oh, but, we have had an immigration system that has been revised throughout since the early days of the Republic. We had Italian, German immigrants who were literally jumping ship on Ellis Island and coming here illegally. And what we did, we actually gave people an opportunity to get right with the law.
You're missing my question.
Here now, Tucker.
Okay, no, but you seem to be suggesting that the United States doesn't have a right to make people wait to get citizenship, and you also seem to be suggesting that the United States is somehow morally responsible for people dying trying to get here. And I'm just wanting to make absolutely certain that that's what you're saying, because I think most people would find that ludicrous.
No, what I'm saying is that let's have a system that is up to date with our economic demands, there's up to date with our social demands, where we are having people who are coming in from different parts of the world who are contributing to the country. And
okay,
yes,
well, first of all, wait, hold on.
No one's saying that, hey, give me citizenship tomorrow.
There's no economic demand for low-wage immigration. 1 in 4 Americans is not working right now, okay? So there's no economic, let's just be completely clear. We don't need any more low-wage workers in this country. No economist will tell you that we do. This is a political demand.
President Trump, who has hired undocumented immigrants, who his golf courses and his casinos have hired H-2A visas, which are unskilled or sometimes skilled labor. And so our president has had
you're missing the point. Or in fact, you're making mine. Employers are totally in favor of low-wage immigration because it lowers their labor costs. I'm merely saying the rest of the country, those of us who are not employers, are hurt by it. That's the point. So there's no economic imperative to do this. But you're still dodging my core question, which is, does anyone under 18 who gets to this country illegally have a right to the pathway you just described? Or is there anybody we can say, you're not here legally, leave and reapply like everybody else? Do we no longer have the right to say that to people?
Well, we have a right to, for us to say, for myself, for me to be contributing to the country I call home. I came here through the border as a little baby, but my parents came here also crossing the border because they had no legal channel. You know what? We're here now. We're contributing. We're paying taxes.
So you're not answering my question
actually
because
making a community.
so
my thing is like, this is our home. This is our opportunity.
No, but you know what? You're making an emotional appeal. I'm trying to have slow down. I'm trying to have an adult conversation with you and ask you real questions, and you're giving me this is our home, which I don't deny, and I'm not attacking you personally. But
of course,
there are 320 million people in this country. It's a big country. And they want to know, do they have the right to determine who comes here or not? And you and a lot of other people on the left are in effect arguing, no, they don't. And that if you're not for it, if you're not for illegal immigration, you're some kind of bigot. And my question is, like, on what grounds are you saying that? Don't Americans have the right to determine who comes to their country? Not your country, Americans' country. Don't they have that right?
Well, listen, we're a nation of immigrants. We are a nation where people have come here legally and illegally as well. And you know what? We have thrived very well, and we're going to need a system where our Congress and our president can come together. Right. So my message to your viewers is for us to say, listen, it's not about being an immigrant.
You're giving me a nonsense answer. Everybody does. Why doesn't someone come on this show who's just willing to look in the camera and say, look, I don't believe in borders. I think they're racist. We shouldn't have any borders at all. Anyone who wants to come here has the right to come here.
I'm not saying I don't believe in borders.
Of course, that's what you're saying.
I don't believe in the legal
system. You're all
saying
that, and you don't have the HUEVOS to say so.
Our history has had a change where we need to actually adapt to changing times. And that's just what we're doing now. We're not staying in the back, and our nation needs to move forward.
Okay. Cesar, thanks a lot for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Tucker.
John Daniel Davidson is a senior correspondent at The Federalist, which is excellent, by the way. If you don't read it, you ought to. He joins us tonight. So, John, this kind of is a pretty basic test for the Republican Congress. Now, let's say you didn't even have a position on this, okay? Or you're, like a lot of Americans, confused about what to think of DACA. They're on the opposite side of an issue that the president ran on, one of many. At this point, do they have anything in common, the president and the Republican Congress? They seem to be on completely different pages on every topic.
Well, yeah, you can chalk this one up just like the Obamacare debate that we had earlier in the year. You know, this is another testament to the dysfunction of the Republican Congress and the hypocrisy and political cowardice of GOP leaders in the House and the Senate. They don't want to vote on this. They don't want to craft a bill that might codify DACA into law. And by the way, you know, I think we would both agree DACA represents pretty decent policy, right? It's massively popular. There was a Morning Consult poll that came out recently that said 80% of Americans favor, you know, allowing these folks to stay and work and have a pathway to citizenship. It's very reasonable, but why doesn't Congress vote on it? Well, there's an answer to that question, and it goes directly to what you were talking about earlier. The people that Congress actually works for, special interests and employers and big business and the establishment, don't want to vote on this. They don't want to pass immigration legislation.
Because it will reveal what they really think. So the average person, and I am among them, feels sorry for people who are brought here as kids. They had no role in it. A lot of them seem like really nice people. You're watching the Today Show. It's an endless chain of sob stories. And I'm sympathetic, and I mean that, for real. But no one mentions the principle. Like, under what circumstances are you allowed to come here and stay? Is it okay to come illegally and stay? If that is the rule, then what does that mean for us? Like, how many people will be living in America 50 years from now if that's the rule? Why doesn't anyone articulate clearly what the real rules about immigration ought to be?
Yeah, because it's politically difficult. You know, Paul Ryan had this nonsensical interview where he said, you know, well, I think Congress should be part of the solution. Congress is the entire solution.
Exactly.
But there's a reason he doesn't want to have a vote on it. He doesn't want to vote on it before the 2018 midterms because he doesn't want anyone in his caucus to be accused of being in favor of amnesty, and he doesn't want to take a vote that would go against the special interests that are in love with the status quo and have been for decades, which is why we've been having this ridiculous conversation about immigration for decades, and no Congress will pass any bill about it. You know, and there's real policy solutions as well. You know, down here in Texas, you know, cross-border commerce and people going back and forth across the U.S.-Mexico border. It's been going on for hundreds of years here, and we used to have programs that allowed people to come into this country and work and go back to their homes in Mexico, and it's not unreasonable as a policy.
But it's impossible But if you're going to basically hold out the fruits of the welfare state to people who are here illegally, as we do, why would they go back to Mexico? They wouldn't, and they're not. And that's, I don't know. I would just like to hear a sane, honest, no BS conversation about borders. Does the left believe in borders anymore? I don't think they do. I do this every night. I don't think they do. Anyway, John.